Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Fate Zero. We are on episode 11 of Season 1, and in the last episode, well, the last episode was a sort of side episode. Basically, around the time, just before the Holy Grail War started, what was happening with Rain and whatnot. I'm guessing it was like more like as it was starting, right? Not before it started. I think it was like during, because it was around that time that kids started going missing and things, right? So yeah, I did write down something when I was editing the last episode that obviously I didn't talk about, which just the idea that I liked that it was ground level, and by that I meant like there was absolutely no servants in that. I mean, there was that whole thing of like Casta like almost about to show up, but I liked the fact that they sort of showed it from a perspective that was a lot more horror based, because I mean, you know, coming from a kid that doesn't exactly know what's going on. I mean, she's heard about the Holy Grail War and whatnot, but I don't know to what extent she actually knows about it. But I like that, you know, by seeing it from like her perspective, it comes off as more of a type of like a horror show than like what it actually is, and obviously that, you know, helps with with Castor and you know, Ryunosuke's story and whatnot. But yeah, I like the fact that there was no servants at all in that episode. So a nice different perspective from it, as opposed to seeing it from where we usually see it. So yeah, that was cool. So I'm guessing episode 11 will pick up again, like back in the sort of like the main story thing that's happening. So episode 9 sort of like left off with Waver and Ryder and whatnot. They had found where Casta and Ryunosuke's sort of like base of operations was taking place. They burned it to the ground and whatnot. We know that Assassin is like another sort of another assassin. There's a bunch of assassins. I'm sure it is just one assassin. It's just an ability of his to be able to split off into loads of them. But he's, you know, Kiria's got a bunch of assassins following all the different fucking masters. I'm not sure there's one now that he doesn't know where they are. Right? I don't think so. I think he knows where everyone is now. Did he I think they know. Yeah, I think they're following their carrier as well, right? Yeah, I think they are. So yeah, I think we'll pick up from there. I'm guessing anyway. So yeah, without further ado, we're just gonna get in episode 11, see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 11. Right. I did try to look up that about who she was talking about, how the one of the people who left the round table, and the only people I can guess who it could be. I don't think it's Lancelot, because it was talking about how Lancelot, or how like Camelot went into civil war afterwards, after that whole thing. So I don't think that was the case. It could be Sir Mordred, who was the traitor, right? So I guess that's who she was talking about. That was a really interesting episode. I like the whole idea of like the three kings and the three different ideals that they all had, in regards to you know, what makes a king. I mean, when it comes to like Archer, he didn't really pipe up and you know, give his reasons or like how he. Yeah, but I think when it comes to Archer anyway, or Gilgamesh, I think he's, you know, it's pretty straightforward as to how he sees himself. Like, he is above everybody else, and that is it. He is about like the, you know, he's like the guy who just wants to be on top, and enjoys having those finer things in life. I'm not, you know, to call him one as like a, you know, a ruler of the people, or like a man of the people. You know, that's not something you could really call him. But obviously the big ones were like between Ryder and Saber, and like when it comes to it, I mean, Ryder he makes some like really good points, and the problem is with that is that well, I mean, this is the problem anyway, is like because of the situation that this show puts them in, the idea that they're coming back to like that they're being brought forward to modern times, right? Where the idea of like kings and whatnot has sort of passed, and we're not really at that point anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, Britain has a queen, but you know, it's primarily like, you know, just a it's just like a tradition thing that's just carried on. It's not a set. You know, I mean, she still has the royal family still has like a lot of like power and whatnot. She just doesn't use it. Because I mean, well, she doesn't really have to. I mean, that's the reason why Parliament was made. You know, get that sort of like that democratic way into society as opposed to, you know, monarchical rule. But I mean, yeah. So like that's the problem. Is like everything that he says is. I get it. I do get it. You know, sort of embodying the will of like the people and his followers, so that you're kind of like on the same wavelength. But everything that he spouts is conquest. You know what I mean? Like that nation is built on war, whereas like I mean Britain is as well, but you know I'm the thing that, you know, King Arthur was, the thing that he was fighting for was peace. It wasn't to take over the world. You know what I mean? It wasn't for conquest. So you know that's where their ideals clash. You know, if you're fighting for peace, which is what, you know, King Arthur was doing, then you know, I mean that's the thing. Well, that's the reason why I'm behind Saber anyway. You know, and they were talking about how well look how it ended up, because this is the way that you know, I mean, you didn't leave them in good standing because of how you chose to rule. You know what I mean? But I mean, out of a lot of them, if you're looking at them all, like who's the one that is going to get you sort of like, you know, pumped up and in the right mindset for like the shit that you're doing, then it's Alexander the Great all the way. But yeah, like I said, like that is only good for the one thing that he is doing, and that is conquest. You know what I mean? And a king is not just about that. That's, you know, that's not what it is. You know what I mean? A king, first and foremost, is to rule. It is to fucking. I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, I do. Honestly, I get what he's saying. And you know, I don't think, just from the mixture of like the fact that, you know, when you're looking at this from like modern times now, and you look at the sort of, because I mean, when you're brought up in that time and you're just, you know, you literally live for war, you know what I mean? And that's the only thing that you can really show. And I think when it comes to like sort of, when it comes to Ryder in that regard, he is very much, I don't want to say one-dimensional in like a, you know, like a disrespectful kind of way, or like it's bad because that is the way that, you know what I mean? I fully understand the reasons as to why he is the way that he is. You know, and sort of that idea that, you know, if you're pushing forward for that one goal and that is your one focus, then you're immediately like more powerful, because like in regards to trying to do that, because that's all you're focused on, you know what I mean? And while I'm talking about that being like one-dimensional, because it's just, this is all he's focused on is one thing, you know what I mean? It's not when I'm calling it one-dimensional, I don't mean it as a bad thing, but I feel like there's more to being a king than that, you know what I mean? So that's the reason why I back Saber and whatnot, like, you know, and all the way. it adds on to that fact that like I've just finished I finished Code Geass not that long ago, and Lelouch was exactly the same. You know what I mean? Sort of like fight. There's definitely different values there, I believe, but it's that whole thing of like, you know what I mean, like a king sort of, you know what I mean, like leads from the front kind of idea. And of course like Alexander does that as well, but I think there's a lot to, I think there's a lot to be desired from Ryder's side, which in terms of being a king. I mean, I guess you could say like during the time that like he was around and whatnot, that was like the only thing, especially in the area that like of the world that they were in, because that's just like constant war, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think I mean I have to back Britannia. I have to do it. I have to back it because it's for the homeland, isn't it? So yeah, really good though. I'm interested in Archer's sort of take on it at the end there, because he can easily be like... Archer's an interesting one, because he's not even... I feel like he's straight up. Like, he'll say what's on his mind, but he has the capability to be a bit sneaky with things. But it just doesn't feel right. Maybe it's just the way that I'm trying to perceive him because of just like the way that he moves over to where Kira is, right, and he's talking about Tokiomi behind his back and whatnot, right? But you see, to me, I've envisioned that character, right, as Gilgamesh, as someone who is so above everyone else that it doesn't matter. He can talk to anybody, like he can talk down to anybody that is there, so he has no reason to go behind people's backs and talk about them behind their back and shit like that, because you know what I mean, he can just be like, you know what I mean, it doesn't matter, I can say whatever the fuck I want because I'm Gilgamesh, bitch. You know what I mean? But that's the interesting thing is, yeah, how he at the end there, that when Ryder started going off on Saber about how like what it means to be a king or whatnot, I was entirely thinking like Ryder's way of being a king fits more with Gilgamesh than with Saber, right? So I thought that Gilgamesh would be like would sort of, it's not that he did, because he didn't take sides, but like I was just thinking like it probably, Gilgamesh would lean more towards Alexander's sort of rule than Saber's. So I was interested that at the end there when he was talking about, I think it's more to do with like he doesn't agree with the way that Saber rules. Like, he's not going to rule like King Arthur would, but I think he was more like, I feel like he's like playing along, like being like, no, don't listen to him, do what you want to do, because that makes it more interesting. Again, like, because when he was talking to Kira that a few episodes back and whatnot, he was talking like, what did he say? I can't remember what he was talking. He was saying like, that he wants to like, that he wants to get together with like the other like masters and things and whatnot because he's bored and shit, right? So I'm thinking like it's more of a game to him. And the idea that like people are against each other on different ideals seems more of a game to him. So maybe he's just playing that up. I mean, I could be completely off base, and Archer could be, like entirely be on board with like the way Saber is, and it's just going to be another case of like, because Archer basically said there, you know what I mean, like, what did he say? He said something about like more. I might, be more affectionate towards you or something because of that, right? Let's have a look. He says, depending on your actions, you may prove worthy of still more of my affection. He said worthy of more. Is like, as if he's like given affection before, where he hasn't. He hasn't given her affection before, anyway. But yeah, interesting though. Unless he was talking about like what he said in the lead up to that, he might have done. But yeah, follow your chosen path. Watching someone carry the heavy burden of kingship. So he just likes that idea. Maybe he just gets off on the idea that like people who struggle with that power, because Gilgamesh probably just like basks in it, you know what I mean? Like I can imagine like Gilgamesh just lapping it all up, being like, this is the easiest fucking thing in the world, nothing is wrong, everything's fine. Whereas everyone else is struggling, and he finds that, you know, he finds that very, as he said, superb to behold. Bunch of different things that could have been taken from that. I mean, we'll just have to see later on. So, yeah, at the sort of near the beginning, Ryder was talking about how the Holy Grail ritual apparently determines who is worthy to take it. So it's not even a case. Well, I mean, in that regard, then, like, if that's the case, if that is true, then Casta and RuneScape are just not getting it then, because there's nothing there. There's no real reasoning as to why they're doing, like, you know, they're just not going to have it. They're not going to get it, are they? Who's worthy of it? Who's truly... If that's the case, if that's how it works, I mean, that's just coming out of Ryder's mouth. That could be completely off base. Like, it might just not be the case at all. Because I was like... I don't even say I was led to believe, because it's just the way that, like, the story's gone. I just feel like the way that it is like, it's just a battle royale situation. It's just like, oh, choose the 7 people, fight to the death, last one standing gets it, you know? That's the way I thought it was. I didn't think there was, like, you know, a thing of like, oh, the Holy Grail determines like fate, and the one who's worth, like, who's worthy of it gets it, you know? Because yeah, like I said, if that's the case, then I don't see like how Casta would ever get it then, because yeah, there's nothing there. But yeah, so fucking Archer was able to summon wine. I don't know how like what is that, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's just just an ability that he can do, or just summon it from, yeah, wherever, just fucking free wine all over the place. Because, I mean, before, when he was at Kyrie, he specifically went over to Kyrie's and he was drinking his wine. Why would he do that if he can just drink the best that he has, you know? I don't know. But yeah, Ryder wishes to be reincarnated. This goes back to what I was talking about before, about how, like, in the modern day era, the idea of kings and stuff isn't the same. If he was to be reincarnated, right, he would have to work within society's laws. You know what I mean? He could, like, it's not like the world is up for grabs, you know. I mean, I don't know if he's thinking about, like, if he would work within today's society. So, like, if he was to be reincarnated, he would work his way up to become, like, the leader of a nation, and then choose to go to war with everyone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's what he's talking about. Possibly. I mean, just the interesting thing is, you know, to be reincarnated as a human, he would not have his powers from before, right? It's not like he would have fucking, you know, all of, like, he wouldn't have his normal phantasms and shit. That wouldn't be the case. So, yeah. It would just it's an interesting, like, sort of idea, like, you know, him wanting to do what he did when he was Alexander the Great, but in today's society. Like, it's just, you know, yeah. Although, to be fair, we could use some of that right now. We could really use some of that right now. The world is too soft. So some fucking... Some of that might change that pace, which would be pretty nice. So yeah, the assassins, the sort of all of the they basically confirmed it. I don't think they confirmed it before. I'm sure I was like one of my patrons did say though that I was right when it is just one servant. It is just assassin, but I just split a load of them. But I think that was where it was first confirmed in the show. But they're called shadows, right? So yeah. That fucking that whole wine, like as your blood, and it and that was such a hard line. Like, that's cold blooded. I love it. That was such a good line. You know what I mean? Oh, talk about like wine as like as if it's your blood, and then to spill it, and he says, "Well, I did say it." So if you want it spilled, it's quality, man. I love that. And then he used his noble phantasm, which he called a reality marble, which is interesting. But essentially, it turns like his vision into reality, or like, you know, a sort of like a memory, what was in his mind, take them into like a real space. It's pretty cool. That noble phantasm is fucked. That is nuts. He literally has an army. That's nuts. Like, oh. Did they talk about how many noble phantasms a servant can have, or is it just a case of like there's one? You have one. Because I'm like, when I look at it, right, and Ryder has got a whole fucking army. Like, not only does it take him to like home advantage, you know what I mean, where like he is literally, you know what I mean, he like, it's basically like him going back home. So he's on a home field advantage, right? So it takes them there. Takes the opposing, the enemies out of that comfort zone. And then not only that, but he has his whole fucking army with him as well, and they all can fight. And then you have like Lancer, who has like, you know, the spears are cool, but it's him, and that's it. Like, it's nuts. I don't know if there's like abilities to like sort of like negate noble phantasms and shit. I mean, we know like, I guess you gotta find like the point in which the noble phantasm works, right? Because it has to be a physical object, surely, right? So I guess actually to the Lancer analogy, as long as he uses his the magic cutting thing, spear thing, if he uses that like he did against Casta's like tome, then yeah, I guess you can just undo it. I was going to say, like, I don't know if there's a way to undo it. I'm guessing, yeah, with that would be the case. But yeah, that's just nuts. But I love the juxtaposition of Ryder's versus Saber's battlefields. So in Ryder's, it showed him surrounded by his followers, right, basically on a field of victory, versus Saber's surrounded by her followers, all dead. She's the only one alive. You know, and again, it sort of weighs up that idea of what it means to be a king. You know what I mean? And you know, and that idea of like, you know, what it means to be a king is to be fucking victorious no matter what, I guess. You know, but I think, again, it's just a product of sort of like the different ideals and the different sort of situations that they found themselves in. You know, I think when it comes to war and conquest and whatnot, yeah, Alexander is absolutely right in the way that he works. But I also think he doesn't understand from the other side, because in his mind he was never fighting for peace. You know what I mean? So, you know, I understand both of their I understand like the both sides, but to me, I mean, well, actually, you could really call them like both a bit narrow-minded in that they don't think outside of their sort of scope, right? But I think that's just what it is. I think you can't do everything, can you? You can't. You know, like you can't. The way like they're describing it is that you can't fight for peace and have the same mindset as what Alexander had, because you know they're envisioning like the sort of like the will of the people and getting like on their side. They're a very fucking militaristic people. You know, that the like I said, conquest is only like on that one thing. If they were fighting for peace, the way you would rule them wouldn't be the same. You know, so that's like, and you know, on the other side with like with Saber and whatnot, that idea of being solely focused on being the kind of king that that puts like the sort of people before themselves, and you know ends up destroying them because you know you haven't really got them fired up, as it were. You know, being focused on that, I think you know you can only focus on so many things at a time. To be able to do everything at once is something that, I mean, we're only human. That's the thing. So you know, again, like I like the ideals like weighing up against each other. I mean, but looking from the outside, looking in, if you're looking at it, you know, from the outside, from a logical standpoint, like you can't do everything. You know what I mean? From Ryder's side, yeah, it's great for conquest, not for fighting for peace. And then on the other side, you know what I mean? It's, you know, fighting for peace, not fighting for conquest. It's just, you know, it's just kind of the opposite ways of thinking. So yeah, that was really cool, really good episode, and we'll get on episode 12 next. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. One was the Discord. I urge everyone to go over there, come join the community and talk to me. I'm over there, and a bunch of other people are there as well. So get yourself over there. My website, SirMonkeySuit.com, link is in the description there as well. That's a place where all my content is stored. You can watch all of the reactions that I've ever done. There's also a forum where you can become a member and go to like the reaction recommendations page on the forum, and submit a show that you want me to react to, because the top 10 liked posts, when the next poll comes along, the top 10 liked will be going into that poll, and then whatever wins on that poll will be the next show that I react to. Okay, so get yourself over there. And Patreon, so I do have a Patreon. If you don't want to support me, that'd be very much appreciated. There's a bunch of tiers and rewards, depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's early access, $5 a month. That means that you can gain access to my shows a week earlier. And for Fate and Psychopaths, you actually get 4 episodes a week, so make sure you get that if you're interested. $10 a month, that's a full length, so that gives you access to my full length library. Everything I react to gets a full length. $15 a month, that's the exclusive tier, so for that you gain access to a bonus show that I'm currently reacting to. As of recording, it is Mob Psycho 100, but as this will go out on YouTube, it'll actually be a different show, so make sure you go over and check out and see what that is. Also, all OVA reactions, all movie reactions will go into the exclusive tier as well. $50 Elite tier, that means that you know, you pay $50, you get a choice of a show that you want me to react to, and I will react to it. It'll go at the back of the list behind about 7 shows, so it might take me a while to get around to it. But if you want to jump the queue and go to the very front so that your show will be reacted to next, then you want to get God tier, which is $100, and that means that your show will be reacted to next. But that is all, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.